بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers. Alhamdulillah, we start by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we send our salam on salawat on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah, we are going through the journey of the Quran, and with the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we've been finished a lot of the longer surah of the Quran, and now we are in the middle of Surah Al-Aaraf. In Surah Al-Aaraf, we are started, if you remember, just to give a quick review, that inshallah ta'ala in Surah Al-Aaraf, we started with the story of the Iblis and what he did with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed him to prostrate that his first creation of human being Adam alayhi salam, and he ignored, and he disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he became the shaitan or rajim, meaning the outcast shaitan. From there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a lot of stories of the prophets in this surah. So last week we finished almost 5 stories of the 5 prophets, and we started with Nuh alayhi salam, we then went to the Hud alayhi salam, we talked about Saleh, we talked about Lut alayhi salam, we talked about Shu'aib alayhi salam. So all this we had, and then the last ayah that we did last time was ayah number 96. So inshallah ta'ala we'll start from there. These ayahs actually in general Allah is talking, but there is a profound wisdom behind this ayah. So Allah is saying, and if only the people of those cities believed and feared Allah, we would have opened upon them blessings from the heaven and earth. And they denied, so we seized them for what they were earning. So basically Allah is saying, if they were believers, obviously Allah wouldn't have given punishment. Allah has given them warning after warning through His messengers, but they didn't, follow at all anything, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seized them. Then did the people of the city secure from punishment coming to them at night while they were asleep. Meaning what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, that when we go through these stories in the Quran, and this is for us actually, especially when you go through reading the Quran, and most of us, unfortunately, the Ummah, they read Quran without understanding. They just read the Arabic, and that is enough for them. So you don't even understand which story you are going through. You just pick some names, Shu'aib, Saleh, Hud, Nuh, that's it. Even if you go with the meaning, we don't understand, we don't implement this thing in our life. Brother, you need a chair, brother?
It's okay.
That's fine. Sorry.
No one fall asleep.
That's a good idea, yes. Okay. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that in these stories, when you read, this is not like only story for story's sake. We have to understand this can happen with us as a group of people, or could be as an individual. So Allah is saying, if you don't follow the instruction, do you feel secure that this is not going to happen to you? And in this place, Allah is talking to the people of the Quraysh basically. So people of the Quraysh know that the prophet that we talked about, they are around this nearby area. That's why Allah says you can go and visit those areas. Then Allah is saying, are you feel secure? Because those people are much stronger than you. So if this can happen to you, this can happen to them, then this can happen to you also. So don't feel secure of Allah's punishment. Sometimes we just go through the story, so okay, we are not of this, it's not going to happen with us, there's not going to be an earthquake for us. But we see around the world there are punishment, in cities, there are azab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Either it's a form of natural calamity, or it could be a personal event that can cause a issue for the people. So these things are important that we ponder upon the stories and the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah said, did the people of the city feel secure from our punishment coming them in the morning? So Allah saying, day and morning, anytime the punishment of Allah can come, then they feel secure from the plan of Allah, but no one feels secure from the plan of Allah except losing people. Has it not become clear to those who inherited the earth after it? So that's what I mentioned, before, whoever people came before them, and people that we could affect them for their sins, but we seal over their hearts so they do not hear. So Allah is saying, actually Ali Radhiyallahu mentioned about one of the very important things, there are 2 kinds of intellect. Intellect means, how you understand things. The one kind of intellect, it says a poetry from Ali Radhiyallahu actually. He said one kind of intellect is for the fitra itself. So when you're born, a baby is born and raised up, you have something inside. Doesn't matter which education you're taking, which country you're born, you have something in your head. And there are another kind of intellect that you grow by hearing. So that's what Allah is saying, mentioning here. Those people have their own fitrah, and when you hear something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His prophets, through His messengers, these two intellects should collide one upon another. And that's when you become a true believer. But they didn't hear, because they have disobeyed the message so many times. They even disobeyed their own fitrah. So their fitrah tell, this, I think this is the right person, this is a prophet, true prophet, I should follow him. But because the other people, as we mentioned before, al-malu, the people who are around the king or the whoever the ruler at that time, they influence the people, general people, and they just follow whatever they say. They didn't follow even their fitrah. And this is mentioned several times in Quran in different way. The famous ayah, the ayah to Nur, where Allah says, Nurun ala Nur. This is the same kind of thing, because you have something Nur inside your heart, and the Nur of revelation, the Quran is coming, and for us is the Quran, that it will come, and that will come upon on each other. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, those cities we relate to you, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Allah is saying to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, these are the stories that we give it to you, some of their news. And certainly did their messengers come to them with a clear proof, but they were not believed in that which they had denied before. Thus does Allah seal over the hearts of the disbelievers. So in this ayah, Allah is giving a consolation to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look, before you also, lot of prophets came. They had clear proofs. Okay, like you have clear proofs of Quran, but still they disbelieve. So those decided, it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who guides you. And we did not find most of them convenient, but indeed we found most of them definitely, differently or disobedient. So they were disobedient. Now, as I mentioned, Allah mentioned this kind of stories of prophets. As you know, if you go through the Quran, you will see some stories are in pieces together. So sometimes you have the story of Ibrahim. Then after maybe 5, 6 surah, Ibrahim mentioned again. Or some of the time, Noah is mentioned. It's not in an organized way. Why Allah do that? The stories are just like a reference. It's not for the story's sake. So Allah has a point in one of the surah to make that point more clear to you. Allah brings some reference from different surahs. This surah and the surah before, as we said, the main point is that in the Suratul Anam, the surah before it, Allah said that a positive reinforcement. Like Allah said, come to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will get Jannah, you will get this and this. And this surah is the consequence if you do not follow this one. And there are two type of things been mentioned, and then you will see the reference also here. There are two types of heart diseases mentioned here. One is the disease of ghafla. Ghafla means heedlessness, meaning this is true, but you are just lazy not doing it. Like you're very close to masjid, you should go, and there's 27 times more but you say, oh, I'm just feeling lazy. But maybe next day you will come. So sometimes you do, sometimes you do not do. That's called ghafla. But if you continuously do ghafla one after one, then you create another disease in your heart, and that becomes a kibr. So you then give a logic for your laziness. So you create your own logic. No, this is the reason I don't go there. Before it was like you go and you not go, but now you give. I'm just giving an example. Same thing Allah is mentioning here. Like the ghafla of the people was they are sometimes listening to the Prophet, but sometimes they're listening to the other people. But here, once you do ghafla of one after one, you have kibr, just like had the kibr of like the Iblis. We had the kibr inside his heart because he disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now the next story that we're gonna do after this one is the long story of Musa alayhi salam, obviously. So we talked about all the prophets before Ibrahim alayhi salam and two prophets during the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, like Lut alayhi salam, and just after that the Shuaib alayhi salam. Now we're gonna go to Musa alayhi salam stories, and this is a long story, so we're gonna go one part today inshallah ta'ala, and next week we'll do the other parts. And this story is mentioned, there are two parts, basically two parts of the story. One part is the interaction between Musa and Pharaoh, one interaction here, and another interaction Musa with his people, Bani Israel. So the problem of Pharaoh was the kibr, his arrogance. The problem of Bani Israel was ghafla. Sometimes they used to follow the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, next time they didn't, they feel lazy, they're being born demanding. So that's why Allah mentioned these two kind of part here. So obviously you all know this story, and the ayahs are also very short here. So that's why I put it together. We're just going to very quickly go through this. Allah is saying we sent after them Musa with our signs to Pharaoh and his establishment, but they were unjust toward them. So see how was the end of the corrupter. So that's the introduction of this story. So Allah is saying, look, I have sent Musa to them, and they didn't follow Musa, they were arrogant and disobedient, and see what happened to them. So now Allah saying, what happened to them, Allah will tell them now. And also, if you remember that Pharaoh is not a one person. Pharaoh is a name of a dynasty. So it is not the name of a person actually. And according to the Jewish story, we don't have any authenticity on that, but according to, sometimes we can take something from Israelite, the Jewish story, that the Pharaoh who took baby Musa, as we can say, from the water with his wife Asiya, when Musa alayhi salam, punched the guy, and the guy got killed, and he left Egypt and he ran away for 10 years or 12 years. Okay, that time, during that long time, that Musa actually, that Pharaoh actually retired, and he gave all his duty to his son. That son was younger than Musa alayhi salam. So when the baby Musa came in a basket, you all know the story that when Musa alayhi salam mother put him on the water, and and the Asiya, she took him. That time Asiya didn't have any children. Okay, according to that story, Pharaoh didn't have any son. But later on, after a few years, when Musa alayhi salam probably 2, 3, 4 years old, at that time they had their own son. So and he became a Pharaoh before. So that family bonding was still there. So that the elder Pharaoh, that guy has a love, like a fatherly love for Musa alayhi salam, because he raised him up. Okay, he had a love for him. And this Musa that you're talking now here, this Pharaoh is talking to Musa alayhi salam, he had a brotherly love for him. So because they grew up together, So this is the story from the Israelite part. We don't know it's true or fact, but our stories in the Quran suggest the same way, because it's not the same person as per se. So he's saying, as Musa said, "O Pharaoh, I am a messenger from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the Lord of the worlds, and I am obligated to say the truth. I have come to you with a clear evidence from the Lord, so send me with the children of Israel." So his demand was, leave these people who are slaves, that you made them slave, the Bani Israel, let them go with me. Okay? And said to Pharaoh, I have, if you have any sign, show us to us. So Pharaoh is asking that, I don't believe what you're saying. I need to see something. Show me some proof. So Moshe threw his staff, and suddenly it was a serpent and manifest. So it becomes a big serpent, and he drew out his hand. Thereupon it was a white for the observer. So there was 2 signs. As you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give Pharaoh 9 signs. 9 ayat Allah mentioned. Tisra ayatin. 9 signs been given to him, and these are the 2 of them. One is the serpent, and one is his right hand. When he came out from the side, it became very white and shiny. Okay, so that was a sign. And said the eminent among the people of the Pharaoh. So again, so those people who's around the round table of Pharaoh, as you can say, those said, indeed he is a learned magician. So right away they said magician. Just like the Meccan people, after hearing the Quran from the mouth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they said that it is a magic, it is a sihr. Okay, so they said also to Musa that this is a magic, and who wants to expel you from your land? So what do you instruct? So they are already giving a idea in the head of Pharaoh. Look, he is a great magician. Number 1. Number 2, he wants to take your people out of your labor. All your labor people, the slave people, he's taking him away. So what do you want us to do with this guy, Musa? So they said, okay, postpone to him and his brother, and send among the cities gatherers, and who will bring you a very learned magician. So they just call all the learned magician of the town, and the magician came to Pharaoh. They said, indeed, for us is a reward if we are predominant. So they asking for a reward. So the magician said, we are very confident, our magic is very powerful. So if we win, we need to have a big reward from you. He said, yes, and you will become one of our close. So they will be part of the close people of Pharaoh. So he said, they said, "Oh Musa, either you throw or we will be ones to throw." So they're just asking who's going to throw first. Musa alayhi salam said, throw, and when you throw, they be used to the eyes of the people. So their magic was the magic of the eyes. So it's an illusion, as mentioned, and they had a great magic, and people were frightened with their snakes and everything. And we inspired Musa, throw your staff. So Musa alayhi salam didn't know actually what to do. Even he got scared when he see the magic of those people. Okay, because they are magician. And Allah inspires. So Allah sent wahi to Musa alayhi salam saying, don't worry, just throw your staff, see what happens. And obviously we know what happened. So the truth was established, and abolish was there, and they were doing. So the Musa's staff became a big snake, okay, and it ate up all the other snake. And Pharaoh and his people were overcome right there and became debased. So they looked at it and they were amazed to see that one, and all the magicians fell down in prostration to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they right away they understood, because they knew what's going on. They know their magic is the strongest magic, or the strongest illusion, as you can say. But they saw that this is not a magic. This is something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they immediately prostrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they said, we believe in the Lord of the world, the Rabbul Alameen, and the Lord of the Musa and the Harun. Okay, so this is how the magician of the Pharaoh, they instantly asked, because their fitra was given the indication that there's no point not disbelieving, because they saw the miracle and they immediately they got they became a Muslim to the message of Musa alayhi salam. And as you know that in the next ayah, inshallah, next week we'll go through them. That these magicians were punished by Pharaoh, and he cut their hand and the leg in a crossway, but still they didn't budge from their iman. So they had this strong iman. They said, no, we accepted Musa, and we know he's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshallah ta'ala, we finish the story here. There's another part of the story we'll go inshallah ta'ala next week. Jazakallah khairan. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.